so enthusiastic to chant Hare Krishna. Prabhupada's books is true. All of you, because I consider it, I may not be something great, but if I can serve those who can be, that would be my success.
Who pointed? Oh, who was over here? Huh? Brajaras? Okay.
How should I introduce myself? I missed the prompt.
So where are you from?
I'm Brajaras Bhavana Das, and I'm from ISV.
Born and raised?
I was born and raised in ISV.
Wow. And what's your trajectory in life been so far?
I was homeschooled, and so. And so I didn't go to normal school, and I went to college early. And
how early was it?
I started when I was 11.
Okay, go ahead.
And then
it's a good story. Keep going.
I went to college, and then I went to community college first, and I transferred to university, and then I had aspirations to do a PhD. And then I started it, and then I didn't have those aspirations anymore. And I switched to a master's program, and during that time, I attended the GYR, I think two years ago, and I felt an inkling towards Krishna. I'd always felt attracted and attached to devotees, but to Krishna I was a little distant. But seeing him in the Dham with all the devotees, I felt like I was able to create a connection with him and develop some sort of desire to want to be with him. And that inspired me to take my sadhana more seriously and work towards initiation. And I got initiated, I think, 1.5 years ago. And since then, I've felt that my life has fully changed from that experience and by taking those vows. And I personally believe that I've been in a much stronger place, both spiritually but also materially, where I feel very fortified going into the material world, as right now I work, and it just brings a lot more stability to my life because I know there is a greater purpose to it than what I might be doing at work and so on.
Thank you, Brajaras Bhavana. How about your family?
I'm on the yatra with my brother Abhay and my mom Ananda Vrindavan Mataji, and then my dad's at home. Well, he went on a cruise because we were all going.
Where to? Where'd the cruise
He
go?
went to Mexico for a week.
His father is one of the directors on the board at ISV and is an amazing devotee. So is Ananda Vrindavan. They're pillars at the ISV and have been there since the very beginning of the experiment, the great experiment we're conducting out there on the West Coast. And any specific thoughts or incidents on the yatra that strike you that you'd like to mention?
I felt like usually when I've come on the youth yatra, I like absorbing myself wherever we go and really like deeply engage with the talks, the kirtans, and so on. But with the service that I have this time, it's a little more distracting. So I was struggling the first couple of days to like get anything out of it because I felt like I was just missing everything. And and I didn't really like that feeling. But I think you mentioned it like the second day or third day, and you also mentioned it before where it's totally okay if you're just hearing your chanting and you're just doing service, and that's a successful yatra where you don't have to take everything, mark everything down, and like write all the notes that you want to write. Where if you're just like being present in your devotional service on the yatra, it's an opportunity to do that, and that encouraged me to just focus on whatever I'm doing and not to worry about making it a perfect yatra. And so that was the first step in trying to absorb anything. And then I felt like after I made that commitment that, okay, I'm not gonna try to make anything extra out of it. I felt Krishna supplying a lot of help and energy in that way, especially in the form of intelligence, just allowing me to absorb at the right times and take points from the lectures and japa and so on. I think the most interesting and important thing that I have taken away till now has been from Shrutakirti Prabhu's talk. I think I mentioned it, make japa great again a couple of days ago, where he said that Prabhupada would say, just chant from your mouth and listen from your ear. And I find it so powerful because I would always try to focus on saying the mantra really properly, like, okay, I have to say it exactly, I need to focus on saying it correctly, and then I'd never thought about the hearing. It was incidental, like I would hear it, of course, if I'm focusing on saying it. But if I'm like in a distracting place, or my mind is, maybe I just scrolled on YouTube or something and it's not very steady, it's a lot easier to just hear, because I was hearing something else before anyway. I could just hear myself now. And somehow that just works. My mind just stops thinking about other things and I'm just hearing the mantra. And it's a great feeling, because I've always had this weird relationship with the Mahamantra where it felt like it was useless. It was just, okay, like I have to do this to do anything else in Krishna consciousness, so I will do it. But I didn't feel any power from it, and I would talk to friends and be like, like whenever I feel chant the Mahamantra, and I'm like, what? That makes no sense. I would never do that. But I felt by hearing it, I got some kind of energy I felt in the mantra. There's something here that is there to be given, and I can receive it through my ears. Whereas I would try to like focus on it before, which wasn't very useful for me. And so that's something that I've really taken away from this yatra so far.
And your service has been stellar, by the way. Really fantastic. Fantastic. I think we need to get one of those mobile devices to put the phone on, so you don't have to carry it on a tripod.
We have one. We just can't get it to work, so I'm taking it back to ISV.
Okay, all right. Once Mukaravinda, when we did a parikram around Govardhan, he walked backwards the whole way with one of those. It made a great video, though. I mean, everyone said, "How did you do that?" It's Mukaravinda. Thank you very much. It's really touching. Yeah, great. Okay, who is next? Parikshit? Yeah. Huh? Oh, Mukund Hari. Oh, wait, skip to Mukund Hari. Oh, yeah, you come right. All right, go ahead, Mukund Hari, and then we'll go to Parikshit.
Hare Krishna. So, Mukund Hari from London, was born in Calcutta, raised across Calcutta and Mumbai, moved to London 4 years ago. Thank you. Moved to London 4 years ago, did my university education there, so got a degree in economics, and now work as a management consultant with similar hours to what Gopal described. And so that's my work service, and then my service is I kind of try to help His Holiness S.V. Keshav Swami with whatever he really needs, ever since he took sannyas 2 years ago. So everything from his social media to his books to his travel to his foundation to his various educational initiatives as well as different. Yeah, different committees and other things at the Bhaktivedanta Mana, out of which one of those, and that gives me the good pleasure of emailing Vaisheshika Maharaj and Nirukula Mataji once a year to organize Keshav Maharaj's ISV trip as well. Uh, but yeah, and what got me to this yatra was number one, just a deep appreciation for Vaisheshika Maharaj and the ISV community, not only appreciation but tremendous inspiration and just really looking up to the way they do things. And number two, I would say just a desire to kind of relive my childhood a bit. Mayapur is where my father was introduced to Krishna consciousness back in 1989. And Calcutta is where I was born, so I used to come to Mayapur every month or so as a kid and have a tremendous kind of connection with the deities here. But that meant I only came for the weekends, so came in on a Saturday, went back on a Sunday, so it was only really limited to the ISKCON campus. So really looked forward to the opportunity to visit all those other lovely places again, which I'd only been to once or twice as a kid, but didn't really have any memory of. So every day we go to the various holy places of the previous acharyas and other personalities in our Gaudiya tradition is really, really heartening for me.
Do you have siblings?
No, just me.
Well, Mukund Hari, at first, he's impossible to miss because on our youth jam, he comes on regularly, and the first time he came on, he asked him where he was, and he said London. I said, what time is it? He said, just a little after midnight. And he comes regularly. It's really great to have you on the yatra. Thank you very much for all you're doing for Maharaj also. Hare Krishna. Parikshit. And then who missed? Okay.
Hare Krishna, everyone. My name is Parikshit. I'm from ISKCON Columbus. I'm in a family of four. It's my mom, Rajabhakti Mataji. My dad is Naveen Krishna Prabhu, and my brother is Narahari Rupa Prabhu. Some of the services I do, I play mridanga, I help clean the temple, and I wash pots. I'm in 8th grade right now, and I'm 13. What else?
What's been your experience of the yatra so far?
So I really like it so far. In Kolkata was my first time distributing books. And when we were going to the birthplace of Srila Prabhupada, on the way, I tried to give a book to someone, and he started yelling at me in Bengali. But I got the general idea of that he didn't want a book, and he wanted me to,
He'll be here all week. All right.
And he wanted me to go. He wanted me to go away, so I just walked away. But I was a little bit in front of the Sankirtan group, and we were coming back. When I was walking back, he came running back to me asking for a book.
The guy who was yelling at you.
Yeah, he came running back to me, and he was saying, "Book, give me book." So I gave him a book, and I told my mom this, and I said, I don't know why at first he was screaming at me to go away, and now he's asking for a book, and I told her that I thought maybe it was like the power of the holy name. Like, I've been chanting, but like as Brajarasa Bhavana Prabhu said, I didn't really understand the power of the holy name. But like in that situation, I saw that like the holy name is really transcendental. It can transform people.
I really liked watching you distribute books, and now that I know it was your first time, it adds special meaning to it. Congratulations for starting off book distribution.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you. It's great having you. He wants to what? Yeah, that's the next step. Because once you do it here, it's like training wheels, because it's easier here. And then it stimulates something in you, doesn't it? Where you start thinking, well, how do I translate this in other places, and how do I do it? It's the same internal energy when you go out, and it's just a matter of getting intelligence from Krishna. And to do that, all you have to do is just be sincere and try. And then everything will come naturally. And I was talking to Dave Vrata Prabhu today and just mentioning how it's such an important element to add to your sadhana, is going out into the great unknown and approaching people. It takes a kind of spiritual courage. You have to take everything you've heard about Krishna consciousness and then go out and apply it by approaching people. And oftentimes, most times, what happens is you see that through approaching people, how the modes of nature are working, how there's a spirit soul inside the body. And much of the revelation comes from that. What happened? Kitty? It's okay. It's just a little cat. Here, kitty, kitty. He does a lot of savor around here. Would you rather see a cat or something else? Okay, so who's next? Okay, go ahead. We're going to do a couple more, and then we have some bhajan to do. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
My name is Simran, and before I begin, I just want to say that I'm really grateful for all the devotees in the room that are encouraging me to speak, because I get really nervous whenever I have the mic in my hand, but they're all looking at me and encouraging me, so thank you so much. So I was born and raised in a place just outside of Nottingham in the UK, and we were just like a typical Hindu family. We'd visit the Bhaktivedanta Manor, which was about 3.5 hours away from my home, about 3 to 4 times a year. And we'd go, take darshan, have prasadam, and come home. It was never anything more than that. But since I was a child, I always had those deeper questions, and I'd ask my parents, who didn't necessarily have the answers at that time. But I got connected with another spiritual organization. You may have heard of the Brahma Kumaris. So they also follow the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita, but they're more impersonal. So when I was 13, we ended up moving to Delhi spontaneously, and I studied from 8th to 10th grade there, and then moved back to the UK. And it was when I was 19 that I was in India again on my summer holidays, and I went for a retreat, a Brahma Kumari retreat in Mount Abu, which is where their headquarters are, in the foothills of the Himalayas. And I was only there for 3 days, but it was such a mode of goodness environment. We were waking up very early and meditating. And when I returned back to Delhi, I really felt this spiritual awakening, like I wanted to do something meaningful, and I didn't want to continue as I had been previously. And in Delhi, we live on the road next to the Punjabi Bagh ISKCON temple. So I found that to be the next best alternative to the teachings that I found at the Brahma Kumari Center. So I started going there, and my family thought I'd gone crazy because I became very fanatical. I went from 0 to 16 rounds and tried to apply everything straight away. And 2.5 years later, they all followed as well. So my parents are now both chanting and attending. am now staying in London, and some of my services include the Sacred Street Party. You may be familiar with that. I'm part of the core team that helps to organize and encourage people to participate. I'm also part of the festival Sankirtan team. So at the Manor we have Harinam every festival, but we've now developed a team that makes sure that there's a book table in the town centre every festival. I'm also involved in some backup pujari services. Yes.
What's been impressions from the yatra?
So many. It's been so incredible. I think it's been one of the best yatras that I've been on before. And I'm very grateful to Sachi, who encouraged me to come to this yatra.
Way to go, Sachi.
I think one of the big takeaways I had started in GUV when I got the opportunity to speak with Shruta Kirti Prabhu, and he encouraged me to meet myself where I'm at in Krishna consciousness and do what I love for Krishna. And that's been a meditation that I've had so far. Like the other devotees have also mentioned, I really appreciate the meticulousness with which you've cultivated the ISV community. And it's made me reflect on how that's kind of your anxiety in making sure the movement gets passed on to capable hands, and I've really appreciated that, so that the baton is passed on to these wonderful devotees. I had another reflection that's not coming to my mind right now, but yeah, those have been two big ones for me.
Feel free to share it later because we'd be really interested to hear it. Thank you very, very much for being here. You've added a lot. Okay. Do we have a last one? Okay, last one.
Hare Krishna. I'm Chaitanya. The full story. Initially, we moved to ISV from Singapore when I was about 3 years old, and we were only there for a year, but it was, in retrospect, one of the most impactful years, it seems, because we came into touch with some of the ISV congregation, including you, Maharaj, and ever since then, once we moved to Pennsylvania again for only a year, somehow we came into touch with you again, and by Krishna's mercy and some divine arrangement, we moved back to California, but to Southern California, which isn't too far from ISV. And I have the great fortune of meeting with you and a lot of the ISV, my friends at ISV, that at different festivals throughout the year, and such as when they come to Laguna Beach, California, which is where we are now, or at LA or Sadhu Sangha, or now more recently this yatra. And one of my reasons for coming to this yatra this year is because I loved it last couple years. And why I liked it is because, or why I'm liking it even more now is because I've noticed that all these kind of festivals and gatherings that happen every few months or so, I notice a sort of jolt in my spiritual practice and just general productivity, because there's some sort of I guess that's why it's called a retreat. So it's just, it really recharges that activity in me, and I feel there's a certain value in coming to this yatra, especially because everyone else is also youth and very relatable. So I feel greatly honored and just blessed to be here every single year, and there's nowhere I'd rather be now. If you ask me next year where I want to be moving into the new year, I would be nowhere other than Mayapur, because it's just phenomenal. So yeah.
Your parents?
My dad is Vedaved Krishna Prabhu, and my mom is Radhir Srimataji. They're both at
They're famous. Yeah.
They both are. They've been doing Pujari service at Laguna Beach Temple with Sri Sri Panchatattva deities, just like Mayapur, which is another reason why it's very special for us. And my dad also does book distribution. He's been doing it since I think we moved from ISV. So it's always been a big part of his life, and just passively looking at that, it's kind of grown on me as well. And of course, India, there's no better place to do it, it seems, because of how easy it is. And Maharaj is one of the slogans that I used to really take to it back in I don't know, there was a very meaningful seminar you once did at LA Temple, I think, for book distribution. It was book distribution is fun and easy. And it's really becoming apparent that it is fun and easy, because you just have to take a bag of books and lollipops and stickers, and they just go. I don't know how. And so, yeah, it's really inspiring, and I hope to be able to continue this service in my dad's footsteps and your footsteps, Maharaj.
When you first moved away from ISV, it was one of the first shocks we had in our community. There were many more to come, and we started getting used to it, partly because of your family's trajectory, because we became so attached to you and your family. And then they moved, and we thought, what are we going to do now? And you went to Pennsylvania, right? You went to Harrisburg. And then all of a sudden we started noticing that Harrisburg was magically on the map for book distribution, because Vedavit Prabhu, his father, is very dedicated to book distribution, and he's really enthusiastic and a great organizer. So he went there, and all of a sudden Harrisburg became alive with book distribution. We realized that Krishna's moving every one of us around different places to engage in service. And the same thing happened when he went to Laguna Beach, and it happened again. So your family's been impactful in the movement. And then the other day when Nirkul and I were watching you, and we noticed how you and Ram were working together and organizing the book distribution. She said, takes after his father. So it was a sweet moment to watch you taking a leadership role in the book distribution. Hare Krishna. Okay. Last. Huh? Oh.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
My name is Subbu. I'm from Portland, Oregon.
Oh, Portland. Wow.
I grew up with Ram, Gopal, Shrikar.
Oh.
Yeah, Aditi as well, yeah. I heard how amazing the yatra was the previous year from Ram, Gopal and Shrikar, all of them. I could visibly just see how they changed spiritually, and yeah, like their enthusiasm and just their taste, everything completely changed, and I could see it. And I was fortunate enough that my parents sponsored my trip.
Nice.
So I was able to come on yatra, and so far it's been amazing. Unfortunately, I got sick, and I had to miss the previous 2 days because I've just been bedridden for half the day. But other than that, it's been so amazing. Just the particular lectures about reading have been really inspiring and very practical. And I have I've taken some initiative to read more frequently. But I like the attitude about how anything is good. I think for me, I personally feel like for me to stay consistent, which I think is the most important thing with anything in life, just being consistent. I feel like having just attainable smaller goals every day is the way to go. And yeah, I think I'm looking forward to the next couple of days and then trying to just soak in as much as possible. And I just want to say, Shrikar has been amazing for me. Gopal and Ram as well, but Shrikar has been very inspirational. He's definitely like put me back on track. Is very inspiring. Told me to lock in. I'm locking in. Yeah, yeah.
You were born in Portland?
No, I was born in India. I grew up in Australia.
Born where in India?
Chennai.
In Chennai.
Yeah.
Your family's from Chennai?
My dad's from Karaikuri. My mom's from Metyapuram. There's some villages in South India.
I see.
I don't even know.
And why did you move to Australia?
They got a job, so I think.
What do they do?
They're both in IT business analytics type. Yeah.
Which part of Australia?
I'm from Sydney, New South Wales.
Do you have connections there, friends? And
So I didn't my parents do, but I recently went back for a student visa and I became friends with all the youth in Sydney, and I actually met some of them in actually Dhruv right here. He knows a lot of we have a lot of mutuals. So I don't make but I met some of them in Vrindavan when I was with me and Shrikar were in Vrindavan for a week before the yatra, and I met them there as well. So small world, I guess.
And then you moved to
I moved to Portland when I was around 12, 13.
I see. How old are you now?
I'm 21, so I've been here for like 10 years almost.
Wow. I just was thinking when you mentioned having connections in Australia and the youth there. It's really nice, more we can have some cohesive connection around the world with youth.
Yes.
Maybe the Aussies can come next year.
Oh, yeah. Me and Dhruv will bring them.
Yeah? All right. Let's bring all your people.
Are you sure?
Devrata? The Aussie group? Oh, they were... They were here in Mayapur. Oh, I see. Huh.
And I met their two leaders, and they said that they just kind of spontaneously all happen to come to India at the same time, and they're so enthusiastic. There's definitely a lot of potential.
Yeah. Yeah, especially based on what you said earlier. Parents are in Portland?
Yes, my dad's Nagendra Balaram Prabhu and my mom's Manasi Ganga Mataji. Yeah, they're in Portland. I have a younger brother, a younger sister as well, Sukirta and Shabani. They're in Portland.
They're doing well?
Yeah, they're doing great. They're doing great.
Yeah, Portland's a great revelation. I just remember when some of you from Portland showed up on the Youth Jam, and then I started hearing more about Portland, and now I'm thoroughly impressed. It's really one of the enclaves, the power centers that is bound to expand all over the world from your influence, for sure.
I think once Gopal started, I think there was a time where Gopal started the kirtan, and then everything else followed. I think Gopal I think it was like a year with Gopal primarily doing it, and then I think everyone else jumped in, and then ever since the kirtan started, like we've been flourishing. I think we just got really addicted to kirtan, and like that was just fun. Like I didn't really think of it as like service, but it was just really fun, and like I think everything sprouted from there. Even like when I would like stray away or completely just forget about, like unfortunately there's been times in my life where I've just like forgotten about Krishna. I mean obviously I still like come to temple and everything, but just like day to day, I'm just like I forget. But like the moment like kirtan come, like I listen to kirtan, I just like man, I just need to go back. I need to play some mridanga.
This is the first time we've met, right?
Yes. I actually we met briefly at that airport at Sadhusanga.
Oh.
Like very briefly, and I think I wrote
Which
down.
Sadhusanga, last year?
Like 2 years ago.
2 years
in
ago
the
was
airport.
in Utah?
No, I think it was Dallas.
Oh, it was Dallas. We
The
had
first
Dallas
time it was in
too.
Dallas. We met very briefly.
Well, it's amazing to have you here. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, man.
And to your parents. Thanks to your parents.
Hare Krishna.
Okay.
Don't need to lock in.
Where's Divyanam? What time is this over? Ah, ha, ha, ha. Well, I had a short presentation. Actually, it's not that short. But it's about how to make a comeback. At least part of it is about how to make a comeback. It's nice to know, right? And also, it's when I first did this, and these slides are really old. We've grown from there, and I just pulled it off my hard drive, but they're a little funky. But when I first did this presentation, I called it The Anatomy of a Fall Down. And I did it on Wednesday night, and there was a huge crowd there, like double what there usually is. And I said, what are you guys all doing here tonight? Because there's a kind of fascination with, what happens if, or how do you slip in your practice of devotional service, and how might you think about it if that happens, or what measures could you take to make a comeback? I thought it was more positive titled, How to Make a Comeback, anyway. So there's several parts to it. This is a few of the general ideas. You don't have a clicker for me, do you? Okay, I'll just go like that. So Prabhupada writes, this is a regulative principle. One should not fall down from one's exalted position. We're parts of Krishna, and Krishna is the most exalted. We have an origin that is divine, and we profane ourselves when we cohort with the material energy. It's beneath our dignity, actually. And getting association with pure devotees instills in us this sense that I shouldn't dabble in the material world, and let me come back to my original position of dignity as a servant of Krishna. So Prabhupada once said, it's a statement he made, you're not sufficiently afraid of Maya. And this is a principle, being a little afraid of Maya, that's important. You'll find some deep commentary about this in the 10th canto, 2nd chapter, about the appearance of Krishna, when Devaki was afraid of Kamsa. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur uses that as a jumping off place to talk about how her fear of Kamsa destroyed the last vestiges of attachment to the material world. Not that she had any in the first place, but the fact is that in the Leela, she's showing by example. And the 6 sons that were born of Devaki and then summarily killed by Kamsa, they represent Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Mada, Moha, and Matsarya. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, when we have some fear of Maya, then these 6 enemies, our 6 enemies, are killed by that fear of Maya. There is a meme, this is a meme of course, of the hapless soul who thinks, I'm fine. And the Bhagavatam says there's 2 people who feel fine. One is the Paramahamsa, and the other is the fool. And everybody else in between who's decided that they're going to make advancement in devotional service feels some anxiety until we become purified. So we should worry about Maya. And this is attributed to Thomas Jefferson. I've done some research into this quote, and it might be wrongly attributed. Some people dispute the fact that he said it. I'm just giving that disclaimer. In any case, whoever said it gave us a really powerful mantra. The price of liberty is eternal vigilance. It means if we want to be free and not get snagged by the material energy and be one of the other hapless souls who's caught in, as Prabhupada uses, the snare of material nature, we have to be vigilant. And vigilant means awake. It comes from the word vigil, which means awake. We have to stay awake and realize there's consequences to everything that we do. So we should beware of Maya. That's a lyric from a song written by George Harrison. When he became a devotee, he wrote many songs, and one of them includes the lyric, "Beware of Maya." So Maya presents a package. It's not that Maya is completely generic, but for each one of us, Maya gives a perfectly suited package for each person. Kind of like if you go on YouTube and watch anything niche or anything, you'll notice that your feed starts populating with the exact same subject. Does that happen to you or just me? If you look up climbing ropes for climbing a mountain, next thing you know, there'll be advertisements everywhere. There'll be little movies about people climbing mountains and everything like that. So Maya responds to our ideas about the material world and then starts giving us, you want this? You want that? How about this? How about if I put this and that together? And both of them, and no, a little more like that, and tries to come up with the perfect package for us. And Maya can sneak into our life. Maya means that which is not. And for those who are awake, they see Maya as somebody who's in Maya. They notice that they've been captured, but for those who are captured, it's very hard to even see what's happening. So the first, can you go back one or two? Yeah, how Maya sneaks in. So this is how Maya sneaks in. And she's looking to get in. And the first way that Maya can come in is when we become prideful. That opens the door. Come on in. Next, laxity. If we become lax in our sadhana and our practice, we let our guard down, we're not vigilant. Then it's an invitation for Maya. Yeah, it's no big deal. Come on in. And the third one is justification. Welcomes Maya as a permanent resident. When you justify your condition, make excuses for the way you are. Oh, it has to be like that. It's not my fault. Dog ate my homework. The sun got in my eyes. So they're risky attitudes that open us to this peril. And here's one of them is, I'm advanced. When things like that, we're opening ourselves. This is pride to Maya coming in. Another one is, I am liberated. I can cut corners. This is entitlement. This idea that, well, I've done this long enough, therefore it's not important for me to do it. Everybody else can do it, all the neophytes or whatever. I've been here 6 months, so it's not so important. I'm independent. That I shouldn't follow all those Mangalarti going, and they're just sheep. So I'll do my own thing and be independent. So here's how to lock the door on Maya. Would you like to do that? All right. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. This one did come from Benjamin Franklin. I found it was rightly attributed. And incidentally, he started the volunteer fire department. So the two things kind of go together, don't they? Anticipate there's going to be a fire and make sure you're prepared. I didn't put my thumb up. You're just like, okay, go. So if you change your attitude, and Prabhupada writes in the Nectar of Instruction that the quality of your attitude will determine the quality of your devotional service. So that old saying, attitude is everything, that applies in devotional service. Srila Prabhupada, advancement in Krishna consciousness depends on the attitude of the follower. Does anybody here have an attitude? How do you know? What does attitude mean? Researchers, give us the definition. Unless it's on the next slide, I might have already thought of that. Nope, go back. Let's hear what attitude means. You're going to like this. Give her the mic, yeah.
Attitude is a noun which means posture or position of a figure in a statue or painting. It comes from from Italian attitudine, which means disposition, posture, also aptness, promptitude. From late Latin aptitudinem.
It's not the definition I'm looking for. Search for another one, please. Attitude. That's a very technical, artistic, in the context of art. It has something. The definition says something about it's a fixed way of thinking and seeing the world. Do you find that one? Yes, you got it? I got it here. You've got the art dictionary. Okay, go ahead.
The sense of a settled behavior reflecting...
Say it more clearly and loud.
The sense of a settled behavior...
The sense of a settled behavior...
Reflecting feeling...
Reflecting feeling...
Or opinion.
Or opinion.
By 1837.
So attitudes get calcified. We get them from association with others. And, of course, everyone has an attitude. It's the way you look at the world. And adjusting your attitude makes all the difference in the world. Oh, sorry, I should do this. So here's some safe attitudes that protect you. I'm not liberated. Everyone repeat after me. Yeah, that'll help. Okay, next. I am never above chastisement. I live to be corrected. Turn to a friend and tell them. You can tell that to your parents, or Okay? I am the servant's servant 1,000,000 times removed. I wear Trinadapi Suniche Na as a garland around my neck. Now here's the part where if you slip in your practice of devotional service, whoops. Discouragement is Maya's tool. If you slip and then you take your sense of guilt, woe, and a general malaise and discouragement, it's one of the way Maya keeps you from getting back up again. So here's how to make a comeback. Don't go away. Somehow or other stay close to association of devotees, and even if you feel like your practice isn't the same as it was before you slipped, you just pick it up wherever you can and keep going. And next is to own the problem. Don't make excuses and say it was somebody else's fault, because ultimately, in any self-respecting, self-help author or guru anywhere in the world will tell you the same thing. If you don't own the problem, you can't fix it. The next one is the most important, and Prabhupada mentions it in the Bhagavad Gita in the verse Sri Prabhati Dharmatma, and that is to chant constantly. He says chant without stoppage. So if you slip, start chanting and don't stop. Just keep going. Nama parada yuktanam namanyeva harantigam. Feel regret, but not depression. That's from the verse Jatashradama Katasu. I mentioned it the other day. And at the end, the verse says, Garyan. You can feel a little bit regretful, but not so much that you walk around, woe is me, and you use that as an excuse not to keep chanting. Should it be taken only in the same amount that you use hing for cooking, which is so little that you can't even see it on your fingers. Because if you use more than that, then you should be drummed out of the movement. Okay. Next is to think failure is the pillar to success. And this is something Prabhupada writes in the light of the Bhagavat. And I'll read you the purport another day. It's a very encouraging concept, and that is, if you slip, if you make a mistake, it's not necessarily detrimental, Prabhupada writes. He said it can become the pillar to success, and I've seen that many times, and seen it in myself. When you own the problem, and then you make a comeback, you feel stronger, and you have a clearer idea of how Maya works. Encouraging words. Would you like some encouraging words? Before you go, have prasadam and take rest. Here you go. Albert Einstein. Anyone who has never made a mistake has never tried anything new. Isn't it nice to think that tomorrow is a new day with no mistakes in it yet? So fortify, keep yourself spiritually fit. And you notice if you let yourself go physically, then it's really hard if you have an accident or you get sick. It's much harder to come back. So similarly, spiritually, it's better to, like I always like to say, it's better to stay in shape than to try to get in shape. And if you stay spiritually strong, knowing how hard it is to pull yourself out again, it's a better strategy. You already know it's the right thing to do, so don't fool around. Stay spiritually fit. Make sure you have physical strength. These are from Prabhupada, 8th canto, purport about Gajendra. Make sure you have physical strength. Make sure you have enthusiasm. And make sure you have central power. And also, as we've talked about with goals, and one of you mentioned about you said you like the idea, do what you can. Start with what you can do. Because there is a mentality that if I can't do everything, then I won't do anything. Step by step, whatever you have to do, you can make a comeback. And comebacks don't necessarily mean there's some big fall down. It can just be you're chanting japa and you realize that you're not listening anymore. So how do you make a comeback? A little bit at a time. Just try to hear one mantra or 3 mantras in a row. The material nature is unlimitedly distracting and is always pulling us away. So to make comeback, these all pertain to situations that happen moment to moment. These are 3 admonitions that Prabhupada gives about sadhana. Strict, serious, and sincere. And he writes this in the purport to 24:25. Keep your eyes trained to spot offenses, not in others, but in yourself. Even if one has no desire for it. So in the light of the Bhagavat, in a purport I promised I'll read you, Prabhupada mentions how if you're sincere and you take the devotional service, and then you become wayward, said the power of what you've already started will act on you. And he writes, even if you have no desire for it, the devotional practice that you've done by Krishna's mercy will come back for you. And even if you don't want it, it will pull you along. Let's hear it. Is it seemingly from this? Okay.
Devotional service to the Lord never goes in vain. Just as the right moment, the result of one's particular devotional service will come, even if one has no desire for it. One should not be discouraged in the discharge of devotional service. Failures may not be detrimental. They may be the pillars of success.
That's encouraging, right? Only 2 people thought it was? All right, go ahead. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. So beautiful, isn't it? The holy name's just beautiful. And we keep chanting the holy name, and just from your mouth to your ear, cancel out the brain, just keep going. Krishna will take care of everything. Any reflections? Yes.
Haribol? Hare Krishna Maharaj. So I was thinking about this, like the topic of this presentation a little bit while I was writing my goals today. More specifically because of your lecture yesterday, I felt that these were probably some of the best goals that I've ever written. But what sort of gets into my head when I write goals is that I've had this habit of not being super consistent and constantly being in the phase of trying to make a comeback. So let's say I set a goal for the year. Maybe I'm consistent for like 2 months, and then after that, not so consistent for a bit, and then I'm trying to make a comeback, and then it maybe is consistent. It's a cycle that repeats itself. And so that, I guess, almost fear is in my head that, like, I was thinking about it even when I was writing the goals today, that I don't know how likely it is that I'll stick through with these. So how do we sort of...
Well, as far as I'm concerned, progress is just a series of comebacks. It's just like if you're standing on a balance beam, you're constantly coming back to the center. It's not like you're perfectly still. It's impossible. You're, even as you get better at it, you'll find that the muscles are twitching somehow or other. I don't know how they do that, but they figure out how to stay on the beam. And balance isn't about staying perfectly still. It's knowing how to pull back to the center. And if you have, when we write goals and we have a clear idea of our priorities, we know what to pull back to. You're going to get knocked off. It just happens. And there are ways in which you can get on streaks that go for long periods of time, and then you find inexplicably that you're somewhere else, or by just course of nature, or even Krishna's arrangement, as talked about by Priyavrata. He had this whole plan that he was going to go off with Narada Muni and be a renunciate, and then all of a sudden, all these GBCs showed up and said, no, we need a temple president, and you're it. And next thing you know, and Prabhupada mentions in the purport, based on the Acharyas, it said sometimes Krishna intervenes in your plan. So you sincerely make your course based on what you know is right and what you want to do as a service to Krishna. But then you have to be a little flexible, be like water and go around. It's one of the mantras that I use all the time. We came across it, actually it sort of evolved from our service that we were doing during the pandemic, and that is workarounds bring turnarounds. And there's a way that I'm always thinking that, okay, it's in the making the comeback where you find a semblance of steadiness, because I don't know anyway, I made the case. And if you think of it like that, you readjust the way you think about it. You don't have to be afraid that you're not going to be perfect, because you're not. And the material nature will constantly be changing, but if you keep pulling back and be satisfied that you know how to make comebacks minute to minute, day to day, week to week, month to month, there is a way that you get stronger by doing that. So I would just say feel free to keep making comebacks. And then you can lessen the intervals, shorten the intervals. Divyanam's up, so we got to stop in a minute. Okay. Go ahead. Last point. Then you have a 3-minute kirtan afterwards because you have to end with the holy name. Go
May I
ahead.
ask a question?
Yeah, you may.
So one of them was keep yourself spiritually and physically fit, and you mentioned that if you're not if you're not physically fit, it becomes much more difficult to make a comeback. And so it was more a metaphor for spiritual. There is a case for being physically fit. We talked about how Prabhupada did the best he could by walking every day and getting massage and also eating properly. So that's not nothing. That's yuktahara viharasya. That's right there in the Gita. Krishna says, don't eat too much, don't eat too little. And so I was just comparing that. I was comparing physical fitness. It's easier to stay in shape than it is to get in shape. So also spiritually, it's easier to just stay spiritually fit than it is to try to make comebacks. Got it.
In other words, you might just say, well, if I know how to make a comeback, then what's the difference? The difference is that you lose opportunities. Better to be there and stay. As I said the first night when we met, it's better like with investing, just stay in the market and don't get out. And I noticed it on Parikram in Govardhan when I used to be racing everybody on the marg. If somebody stops for a break, they're way behind by the end of the Parikram. So we could do more of it. We'll just have a few minutes of kirtan to end. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Go Premanande. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramhamsa Frivachakacharya Stotarasata Shishimad. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Shri Mayapurdam Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande Haribo. Thank you. And now we have a couple of announcements about tomorrow.